This is one of the most obvious ulcers we've ever dealt with on the Hoof GP. It's literally hanging out the bottom of this cow's hoof. You're watching the Hoof GP. So as I said in the intro, as this water begins to clear, you're going to see just how obvious this sole ulcer is. The hoof on the sole of this cow's foot has completely disintegrated and her corium is actually sticking through the bottom of it, meaning that every time she walks along it's being squished and contorted in amongst that hoof horn. Just imagine stepping on your thumb every single time, except instead of being the weight you are, you're 500 kilograms. It's gonna hurt. Just look at that. That is corium exposed through this hoof horn, and actually there's a big cavity in there. Look at that, if I can peel it back. That must be incredibly painful. It's literally completely exposed flesh sticking out the bottom through this hole. Right, I was going to start with a knife, but actually I am going to start with the grinder. Grabbing the grinder here, you can see that this outer claw is very slightly longer than the inner claw. And if we look from the side angle here, you can see that the heels definitely need taken down. Usually I would model out with the grinder, but here we're putting it away because this is a delicate procedure. And as I said before, the corium is literally sticking. Struggling with the knife here. The corium is literally sticking out the bottom of our foot. So if we were to use the grinder to model out, obviously we're going to cut right into that delicate tissue. I'm going to make a massive effort to try to keep my blade away from this. That being said though, it's not going to be an easy task. Just touching it, it could cause it to start producing that red stuff that we're all so fond of, or not. That is what you call a bulbous ulcer. Honestly, I can't get over how sore that must be, sticking out the bottom of your foot. Like I said earlier, it must literally be like stepping on your thumb with every single footstep you take. I really want to get the blade of my knife in against it, but not touch it if I can help it. Just try to pull away from it and create this void in here so that every time she steps, she's not actually standing on the ulcer. You can see how much that's actually projecting out of her sole. It's not dissimilar to the cow that we struggled with for a while that is getting there now at that other farm, actually, is it? You can actually see this fluid in there as well, although to be honest, it could be water from us washing it. Oh look, I've touched it, and look, literally touched it with the back of the knife. Don't even want to touch it with my fingers in case I cause damage. Now we need to take all of this hoof horn in here that's all kind of bobbled and cracked and granulated away from in there. Again, we'll be as delicate as we can and hope that just touching it with the back of the knife doesn't cause too much damage. These sharp pieces, you might think, well, why bother going so close to it? But these sharp pieces, think about it, every time she steps, they're jagging into the side of that projection, aren't they? And that is what will be causing the pain, as well as the 550 kilos above her, obviously. Really taking my time to carve as much of this hoof horn away as possible, but leave this portion high and leave up this wall high so that it kind of creates this chasm in here that this shouldn't be touching the ground. We are going to put a block on here, obviously. We do need to remove some of this hoof horn that's loose and detached, otherwise the block will just fall off along with this hoof horn. Right, let's get this block in position before we move any further. It seems completely counterintuitive to reduce the height of the claw that's taking the block. After all, we actually want it higher, but if I leave that detached hoof horn there, it will flake away and the block will fall off. Kev is good at putting these blocks on, but make no mistake, if it's got nothing to hold on to, the glue's not going to hold, is it? And in a case like this, it's absolutely vital that block stays in position. Innit, Craig? Yes, Craig's back, look.
You've missed me, haven't you?
How was holiday?
That was awesome. Yeah.
Where did you go? Tell everyone where you went.
Crete, Athens, Kos, and Italy.
Craig was away for 16 days.
Yeah, 16 days, yeah.
A whole big family shebang, 5 flights, a couple of cats, a couple of dogs. And weirdly, the Tour de France in Italy, which I called BS on him, but apparently he was actually right.
Proved that, showed him pictures.
Yeah, weird. Kev has glued this affected claw really nicely. What's that about, Kev? Wise words from Kev there. The glue's nothing, obviously. It's just very, very easy to get everywhere. Right, we will just cut that excess glue off there because we don't want it to encroach onto that other foot at all. It should just peel off. Yeah, lovely. Right, I'm just going to deepen this as much as I can without going too deep, of course. A little flap there. And I think actually I can take a little bit more from in here. Right, this is going to be a wee bit awkward. Put the back of my knife in against that. Push it around and down. Yep, I got a good slice there, didn't I? If we come to the other side, you can see that that is still like a... It's difficult to explain, but there's like loose horn there, definitely, isn't there? Just gently trying to pick away as much of this horn as I can and get it as deep as I can in, because obviously there's 2 sides to that hoof horn around this ulcer itself. It's not detached. Oh, well, that was a big slice, wasn't it? Around. That must be sticking down at least an inch. Do you get anything we could measure that's about an inch long to hold up against it, Craig?
You do.
Fair point. Right, we're gonna douse this in iodine to hopefully shrink it up and wrap it right up in an effort to get it completely shrunk. This salicylic acid will fight against any dermatitis that's present, and in partnership with the iodine should completely heal this cow's foot. All that remains for us to do is deal with her big long thumbs. Yes, you heard right, thumbs. Last week, Graham, our editor, this is Graham, wave Graham, was out helping us on the farm, and he said, "Hey, what's wrong with her thumbs?" Or something similar.
That's a good imitation.
And to be fair, actually, it sounds ridiculous. He's talking about their dew claws. These are their dew claws. Dew claws are a kind of hangover from when cows would walk on softer ground, and basically they stop their feet from sinking into the ground that much. They acted a little bit like a spar. I mean, Graham called her a thumb, or a thumb, as I would say. Sorry, Graham.
It's alright.
He wasn't far wrong, actually, because each claw on a cow's foot is like her fingers. So it stands to reason that actually her dew claws are similar to her thumbs. We'll call them dew claws, though. And yes, you are correct. I've got some shiny new nippers. I had those other nippers for about, well, for a few years anyway. And they went rusty because they were made of mild steel, whereas these are chromium vanadium, so hopefully they'll never go rusty, and they should stay looking pretty good. You see, you can actually see these. See how it's all powdery? That's because these are up out of the dirt and the manure, and that is natural hoof shedding away. You can actually see them breaking away like that. That is what hoof should do when it's in dry surroundings. Right, that's her done. So as she walks out of the crusher, you can actually see her try to kick off the block and the bandage. It's not going anywhere though. It just feels a bit strange for her. And in the next couple of days, she'll understand those blocks are helping her massively, and she should be far more comfortable. You've been watching The Hoof GP, Craig Boy, and the maestro that is Kev.
Bye, guys.